As Boba Fett walks away from Jabba's palace and his encounter with Mace Windu, he hears the words of Luke Skywalker again. Make your own path. Make your own destiny. He always made his father's death a defining moment for him. In a way, his vengeance against Mace Windu forced him on a certain path. It isn't what Jango Fett wanted for him at all. Jango taught Boba the Super Commando Codex, the Canons of Honor, and the Raison-Nair, as it had been taught to him by Jaster Mereel. He hasn't forgiven Mace Windu for killing his father, but it was up to Mace Windu and his own path as to when his last day would come. This is what Jango Fett taught Boba Fett, today on Star Wars Fanatic. Boba Fett was raised until he was about 10 years old by Jango Fett, the Mandalorian bounty hunter that was the clone template for the Grand Army of the Republic. It's sad that this is what Jango Fett is most famous for. There is so much to his life that goes unnoticed by some fans because it wasn't in the movies or series. But the fact is, we only see a glimpse of Jango Fett's life in Attack of the Clones. But the truth is, being a clone daddy to the Grand Army of the Republic was the least exciting thing about Jango Fett. Jango Fett was born to Clan Fett on Concord Dawn, a planet in the Mandalore sector. When he was a boy, his father and mother were killed by Death Watch for hiding members of the true Mandalorians, led by Jaster Mereel. Jango Fett's father was the Journeyman Protector, a type of lawman on Concord Dawn. He took the position when Jaster Mereel was elevated to Mandalore, so Fett's family were Mandalorians. After the death of Fett's mother and father, and the kidnapping of his sister Arla, Jaster Mereel took Jango in as an adopted son. He raised him in all the ways of the Mandalorian and the Mandalore. He was to become Jaster's successor. Mereel was led into a trap and killed by Death Watch leader Tor Vizsla. When Jango returned to the camp, he was named as the new Mandalore. He followed all of Jaster's teachings and expected the same of his followers. When Death Watch manipulated the Jedi into helping them in their civil war, the Jedi wiped out almost all the true Mandalorians, all but Jango Fett. They captured him and took his armor. Jango eventually broke free and took his armor back, going into exile and living a life of a bounty hunter. The Sith Lord Darth Tyrannus, otherwise known as Count Dooku, took notice of the best mercenary in the galaxy and offered him a job as a template for a clone army. Other than the substantial money payment, Jango agreed if they gave him one unaltered clone. They agreed to that, and Jango named the clone Boba Fett. Okay, so that's the short version of how Boba Fett came to be. Doesn't prove one way or another as to whether Boba Fett is a Mandalorian, right? Maybe, but let's look at the story. Jango was the Mandalore. His mentor was the Mandalore before him. This means leader of all clans. The Super Commando Codex was created and taught to Jango by Jaster Mereel, the Mandalore. Jango lived by the Raison-Nair and the Canons of Honor as well. Even after his exile, he lived by these guidelines. The most anyone can cite as a reason not to consider Boba Fett a Mandalorian are two ambiguous lines from the Mandalorian series. I owe my allegiance to no one, and I never said I was. So let's dispel this right now. He's right, before this moment, he owed his allegiance to no one, unless you count Fennec Shand. Oops, did Boba lie? No, because he owed his allegiance to no one that called themselves a Mandalorian, because his clan died with his father. He was now a clan of one. I can still be an American without owing my allegiance to a political party. Something to note, after Boba Fett showed Din Djarin his chain code in the armor, Din did not kill him and take the armor to return it to the Mandalorian people. It was being worn by a Mandalorian, and Din Djarin recognized that. And now for the line, I never said I was. This is true. He didn't say he was a Mandalorian. But again, we have to take the context under consideration. Look at who he was talking to. He knew who she was, or he would not have taunted her by calling her princess. He also knows that she is a splinter group of the faction of Death Watch, the same faction that had his father's mentor killed by Jedi, killed his birth grandparents, kidnapped his aunt, and had his father imprisoned by the Jedi. So yes, he never said he was a Mandalorian to her. In fact, he hadn't said much to her at all before that moment. But it's kind of funny that after his fight with Casca Reeves, Bo-Katan did not push the issue anymore. In fact, she joined him on a mission and also allowed him to remain in the armor. He followed a Mandalorian code. Now let's go back to Jango Fett. I explained how Jango was raised and his accomplishments as a Mandalorian. I left off with him receiving an adopted clone son. That basically makes Boba a foundling. I am not going to use genetics route because there are no genetic Mandalorians other than the Tong, and they are extinct. There is no birthright or anyone to be a Mandalorian by birth. Even if you were born into a clan and you don't swear to that clan's creed when you reach adulthood at 13, you are not a Mandalorian and cannot wear the armor. A Mandalorian will hunt you down and take it from you. Just ask Jodo Kast. Now let's look at Jango Fett's demand of an unaltered clone as payment. The key word, unaltered. He wanted an exact replica of himself. Why? Jango was now a clan of one. He needed another, a successor. I don't think he just wanted to be a father. Part of the Raisonnaire stated that children had to be raised as Mandalorian. Jango had no children. He needed someone to pass on his creed. Yes, Jango was a bounty hunter, but many Mandalorians were bounty hunters. It was quite common. So Jango Fett did not want to father a child and settle down. He wanted someone to pass on his ways to and his creeds. Someone to become the next Mandalore. Or at minimum, someone to keep Jaster's teachings alive and pass them down as well. Jango wasn't just teaching Boba the ways of bounty hunting. He was teaching him the ways of the Mandalore. There is so much more that points to Boba being a Mandalorian than that doesn't. The beginning of this video was the continuation of a Boba Fett fanfiction I've been working on, where he realizes his true purpose, the real reason his father was training him, and that his vengeance on Mace Windu had halted the progress of his father's vision for him. It was also a continuation of his meeting just days prior to that with Luke Skywalker, where Luke Skywalker told him to make his own path. After some healing and searching, Boba decides his path, the way of the Mandalore. That part is a bit of headcanon for me, but if you watch my Book of Boba Fett prediction videos, you can see why I added this into whether or not Boba Fett is a Mandalorian. What do you think? I love hearing opposing arguments, but please don't quote, "I owe my allegiance to no one, I never said I was," and anything from Prime Minister Olmec. He was a liar. Read the stories, the comics, the legends, novels, and see why these things are meant to be divisive. I do love hearing from all of you though, and I appreciate you taking the time to leave me a comment. I try to respond to everyone. If you are new to the channel or just haven't committed yet, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications to stay up to date on my Boba Fett, Jango Fett, Mandalorian, and general Star Wars releases. Also, hit the thumbs up and share the video to show the love for the hard work I put into each video. Thank you for watching, and remember, this is the way. The only way.